This is Volusia Today, a public information radio program brought to you by the County of Volusia. Here is your host, Kevin Captain.
Good morning and welcome to Volusia Today. I'm Kevin Captain and I'm joined by co-host Gary Davidson. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Volusia Today is made possible by our sponsors, the Daytona Beach International Airport, the Ocean Center, Volusia Recycles, and Votran Public Transportation. Good morning, Gary.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I always enjoy being on the show with you because we try to bring news and information to the listeners that's meaningful, that's impactful, that's consequential. And,
for sure.
And there's really very few things more consequential, and I mean very few things that are more consequential than elections. And so we are delighted and honored to have in the studio with us this morning the Volusia County Supervisor of Elections, Lisa Lewis.
I love it, and I can't wait to talk to Lisa. But you know, Gary, I just was thinking about something. Since we have Lisa here,
yes,
and she can often authenticate voting, let's take a quick poll here in the studio.
I think I know where you're going, Kevin.
Yeah, because I want to settle this right here and right now. You're a barbecue lover like I am, so here's the question. What's better, real wood or pellets?
Pellets, no doubt.
All right, here's our audio engineer.
Okay, I have to say real wood, but specifically wood chips, because you definitely get more of the smoky flavor to it.
All right, and then in our video and audio guys, Patrick and Truman.
Going for wood.
They're saying wood. Truman's saying wood.
Oh man!
All right, so
you
Lisa, you're in the vote too.
I would now. I don't. I will eat it, but I will tell you, my husband cooks with pellets.
Yes.
He smokes with
Oh,
pellets.
so what do we got?
The wood's still winning.
So 4-6. All right. Well, we'll wait for next week to see if there's any mail-in ballots. So it's great to have you here, Lisa, and you're probably at this point most of the time, but especially right now, you're one of the busiest supervisors in Volusia County, and you got the primary coming right around the corner. I know it's a busy time. Thanks for being in the studio. What's happening right now in your office?
Actually, right now we are in the midst of counting the vote-by-mail ballots, actually tabulating those. No results are released until after the polls close on election night. We are also setting up for early voting, which starts tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the next 8 days. So we're Saturday to Saturday for early voting, August 13th through the 20th.
Wow.
Also, how many registered voters do we have in Volusia County that are eligible to participate in the primary?
We are just over 445,000.
Wow.
Here
That's
in
a
Volusia.
huge number. And I know those registration numbers, they tend to fluctuate over time. New people move in and register while some of the voters die or they are inactive and they get purged from the voter rolls. So what has the general trend been in Volusia County over, say, the last 5 or 10 years? Has the voter registration numbers, have they gone up? Have they gone down? Have they stayed about the same?
They have actually gone up. And you can tell by the building boom that's here in Volusia County. You know, we have, in the last 10 years, we've probably grown just under 100,000 registered voters.
Wow.
It has
Those are some big
taken
numbers.
off, yes.
You know, speaking of the increases and things, this is really the first election since the census in 2020, and a lot of redistricting occurred. So you had redistricting for the school district, for the county council, for also the state legislation and the federal congressional districts. Lots of different boundary lines that changed. How does that affect elections?
Well, once we receive all of the redrawn lines from each of the different entities, then we take those and lay them out in a map and find the common ground of voters that would vote the same, you know, for the same county council district, school board, through the state legislation, you know, and the congressional lines, our whole county was in 1 seat, we are now in 2. So you take that and we're laying out the precincts and drawing the precinct lines so that we can then tell everyone where their place to vote is. And actually their representatives, they will be voting on what they're eligible to vote in. Now, in addition to all those that you just mentioned, we have a hospital authority that is elected on the west side of the county. So that comes into play, that line also. And then we also have CDDs, which are community development districts. And in Volusia County, we have 11, which according to other counties around the state, it's not very many, but to me it is. And what happens with those is over a period of time, once they've been in existence for 6 years and have at least 250 registered voters, then they elect their board. So that's an election that comes into play also. And we have 2 that are elected right now in Volusia County. So those lines, so you have can have little pockets in what we call our splits, where if the majority of the voters in one area after all these lines vote this way, but then we have one little line that kind of comes into it, the majority is A, and then we will make B that may be voting in that CDD.
Very interesting. So if for any resident in Volusia County, where can they go to take a look at maybe an illustration of those boundary lines, those districts?
I'm glad you asked that, because we have partnered and worked very well with GIS with the county, and they have made interactive maps. They're still in the process of getting each district, House of Representatives or the Senate, but they do have county council, school board on there. But anybody can go and look at a precinct interactive map, type in their address, and it will show them where their location is, who their representatives are on that. And it's on our website, volusiaelections.gov.
And does that give you the differentiation between school board, county, state,
Yes.
all of that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll tell you each district number that you're eligible to vote in.
So, we have all this technology, you have access to sample ballots and maps online, but still, it's a lot of change for the public, for the voters. Are you anticipating that there could be some voter confusion out there when they go to vote?
I do, because it is a big change, and most specifically, sometimes the location will stay the same. However, your precinct number will change, and the representatives. And a good case in point is over on the west side of the county, District 3, County Council, and even School Board, and over here in District 4, they push over towards the west side. And so some voters, let's just say in DeLand, or even in Deltona, will have a representative that's mostly has always been on the east side of the county. But with redistricting and the numbers where the population, that's the way the lines fell.
Right.
So there will be a little bit of confusion, although, they may be voting on the representative that may be on the east side, they're still voting in DeLand.
Gotcha.
Or on the west side, so their polling location does not move them across county. And if I may, on our website, volusiaelections.gov, anybody can pull up their sample ballot, they can look up their voter record, their status, it will show them their precinct, their polling location, where it is. Same thing as like what I was talking about with the maps. Each representative they would be voting on, their party affiliation, because in Florida we're a closed primary state.
Right.
So you can, if you are registered as a party, you're only allowed to vote in that party that may be having the primary.
And I know it's an enormous amount of work for your office to redraw those lines and build those new maps. How long the process is that?
Well, it was very quick this time. Usually we have 6 to 8 months. But because of the census numbers being late and then each government entity needing to draw their lines and then, a special session called in Tallahassee and then maybe going to court, so you had to wait on all that to be final. So we were really pushed. We did it probably, I would say, within 6, maybe 8 weeks.
Wow.
And that involved public meetings, and it's not like just somebody took a pencil on a map and drew a line. When you're working with GIS, which is our geographical information systems, there's a science behind how and where they draw those lines, and it's not arbitrary. There's a science behind it.
There is, and they have to follow census blocks. They have to keep like communities together. There is a lot that goes in rather than just following this street. They've got to look at all the numbers to make sure each district is close in number. I think it's about 5%. if there may be a difference staying within that 5% of the number of voters.
Thank goodness we only do this once every 10 years.
Oh, hallelujah. Let me tell you, I am not a map maker. I don't want anything to do with that.
Well, and I know
I bless them for doing that, because that is very tedious to go road by road, census block by census block, to draw those lines.
just doing all of the census work, you know, Pat Kewen with the county led a lot of those efforts with marketing and the campaign and getting people to make sure that they filled out their census cards. And there was so much involved with that. I mean, we've talked about, you know, being thankful that it's only 10 years, and I think we believe that Pat will probably retire between now and then, but we're going to try to bring her back for the 2030 census.
I don't blame you.
No, but you're right, Kevin. It was a massive effort.
For sure, for sure. We're talking with Lisa Lewis. She is the Supervisor of Elections for Volusia County. We'll take a quick break and come back and learn a little bit more about the upcoming primary election. Stay with us.
I'm Will Roberts, your Volusia County tax collector. Do you need a concealed weapon license or need to renew one you already have? You no longer have to travel outside of Volusia County to file your application. Our office in DeLand will process your application for a Florida concealed weapon and firearms license. To start the process, you must make an appointment. You can do that online through our website. When you arrive for your appointment, you will complete the application in our office. We also will take your fingerprints and take the photo that will go on your license. Then we will submit the entire application packet electronically to the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. The state will process the application and issue the concealed weapon license via mail. It will take less than an hour in our office to process your application and send it to the state. There are two important things to remember. First, you must make an appointment. And second, this service is only available in our DeLand office. For more information on what you need to apply or renew a concealed weapon license, please visit vctaxcollector.org. That's vctaxcollector.org.
Get ready, it's time for another Volusia County Fire Rescue Fire Safety Tip.
Another good tip for the kitchen is safety for the children. We want to create a 3-foot zone of safety around the stovetop so that children can't access and get burned.
And we're back. I'm Gary Davidson along with Kevin Captain, and you're listening to Volusia Today, a public information program brought to you by the County of Volusia.
Thanks, Gary. So today we're talking with Lisa Lewis. She's the Supervisor of Elections for Volusia County. So Lisa, with we can't go through this interview without talking about COVID and how it's changed the look, face, and feel about our elections, how you vote, everything. And with every sector of county government and any business occupation, we've all learned. We've learned how to reinvent ourselves. What was it like for your office, and how has it changed the way you're going to conduct this upcoming primary election?
Well, in 2020, when it hit, we had some plexiglass separators that we sent to each of the early voting sites and actually to the polling locations. We encouraged voters to bring in their own pens if they wanted to sign. We have actually still have scheduled for this year an extra person that will be wiping down the voting booths, you know, in the common areas where voters will be, and even the workers themselves. So it's still the same thing where we want that, you know, we encourage people, if they are more comfortable bringing their own pen. Masks are optional. The plexiglass will not be out there. We do sign on a signature pad, and it's usually with your finger, or we have a stylus if anybody wants to bring one, or we have some available. But if they want to, you know, we can always print a ticket for somebody to sign. It's not one size fits all in elections. And the key word that we use over there is adaptability.
Definitely, that's a good key word.
Absolutely. And speaking of adaptability, I know that vote by mail, it's become more prevalent, I think, with every successive election cycle. And I know you have a system where voters can track their ballots from receipt in your office all the way through tabulation. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. We have introduced Ballot Tracks. And if you go on our website, they're right at the homepage. One of the 4 screens that kind of slides across, gives you a preview, is a Ballot Tracks, where a voter can sign up with them, no cost, and you can receive a text an email or a phone call, or all three if you wish. You get to choose. And you can even set the times of when you want those to come in, So if you don't want it at midnight, like I have mine set 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So that when the ballots leave our office, they're mailed out, you get a notification of that. When we receive it back, you get a notification of that it's been received. So depending on how you want to set it up. But you don't truly have to go on to our website, although you still can, and check the status of your vote by mail ballot. You can do that, but this is an opportunity that it just automatically does it and lets you know.
And speaking of the website too, I want to give a shout out to Shelley Northrup, who is our county webmaster, and I know she worked for months with you in your office. Now, not besides just mail tracking, that website of yours is very robust. Tell us a little bit more about what people can learn and how easy it is to navigate that great site.
There is so much that you can see on that site, and before we had it set up like a ballot, which I liked. We're elections, it looks like a ballot. You could click on, but now,
but it was confusing.
It was
because you didn't know you had to put a little button in there.
So, you can look up past election results. You can find out what candidates are running for what office, the current candidates, even past elections. You can look at all of that, and you can pull reports from it. If you want to export those out, you can do that. Checking your vote by mail status, your voter registration status. The maps are big right now that people want to see how those lines were drawn and where they are. We have links to different areas, like the Division of Elections. We have the Commission on Ethics is on there. We have the different the major part, actually 3 different party executive committees that we have their information that anybody wants to talk to them. If you want to be a poll watcher, actually if you want to be a poll worker, you can sign up through that. So we have quite a bit on there. Pull your sample ballot. And I do want to tell everyone one thing, that what we have, and even right now this is happening since we're actually, the canvassing board has already begun meeting and we're opening the vote by mail ballots and tabulating. You can see voter turnout. No results, it's just how many voters have already cast their ballots. Oh, wow. And it's live. As we're checking them in throughout the day, that number is changing. So we're just under 10% turnout so far, just because of vote by mail. So during the day, even during early voting when it starts tomorrow, as people are checking in, you'll see those numbers going up. We also will have, it's by site, it's by precinct, you can pull it by party. It's a whole array of information that somebody can get out there as a live turnout.
That's terrific. I love the use of all that technology because it's so convenient, it's so informational, and I think more than anything, it's really about transparency. So with vote by mail and early voting so prevalent now, what percentage of those who actually vote cast their ballot on election day, the old-fashioned way, I said? Do you have any data on that?
I do. I'll go back to 2020 since that was our latest election. 83% of the voters that voted in that election voted before election day.
Wow.
So they either early voted or voted
wow.
by mail.
That's
so
incredible.
17% came to the polls. The election before that, the primary, 67% voted before election day. So it is growing that more people are utilizing early voting or even vote by mail for the convenience of it.
So are you expecting those numbers to go up this year?
I think in this primary, the general possibly, in the primary it's always a little bit lower turnout. We average 26-27% in a turnout. I hope we hit 30%, 35% this year, and it could, because there's some races on this ballot that are very out that people are really talking about.
Right.
With redistricting, all the county councils, 6 of the county council seats are up for election. Right. There's 3 school board races, one of them being an open seat. So it's, that draws people, and a lot of people are talking about it. So I think our primary numbers are actually going to be up this year.
Again, talking about the pandemic, that since that's happened, more and more people want to be voting from the convenience of their home and not have to go into the polls.
Yeah, and during early voting, we have what used to be called drop boxes. They're now called secure ballot intake stations, which we have always had a box for somebody to bring in their vote by mail ballot and drop it off at early voting. So we still have those. In 2020, we did have those outside. They will be inside, monitored by the employees that are working there. So that is available. You do not have to wait in line. You know, the poll deputies that are outside making sure everyone's behaving will look for somebody that may have them in their hand and offer them to come on in and just drop them off.
So speaking of the old-fashioned way, if someone wants to go into the poll, you require identification. I know on the mail part, you sense the signature or you authenticate the signature. But for also IDs, Gary, you got your certified barbecue judge ID. I don't know. Will that one work for the polls?
No, that is not one. There are 12 different acceptable photo identifications, and you need it if you're coming into early vote or even on election day. Anytime you vote in person, you do need one. The most popular, of course, is Florida driver's license or a Florida state ID card. You can use your passport or the passport card.
Okay.
A credit card that may have your picture on it, a neighborhood association ID, a retirement community ID, concealed weapons permit is one, a VA card is one.
A lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's an employee badge and our school IDs. You know, and if they have the picture but not the signature, because you need photo and signature, you can use that photo ID and then something else that may have your signature on it. Say some people may still sign their Social Security card or
sure.
You know, or a credit card that has their signature on the back.
Terrific. Let me ask you a minute about sample ballots, because if you're like me, you like to use sample ballots and so that you have all your choices marked down in advance. And how convenient that your office mails them out to the voters. I just received mine in my mailbox the other day, and I've got all marked. But if someone misplaced their sample ballot, or for whatever reason they need another one, where can they get it?
It is on the website, VolusiaElections.gov. If you do not have access to the website, absolutely call our office, 386-736-5930. We'll be happy to mail one out.
Terrific.
Excellent. We're talking with Lisa Lewis. She is the Supervisor of Elections for Volusia County. We'll take our last break with Volusia Today and come back and wrap up the show. Stay with us.
After recent heavy rains, mosquitoes are on the move. Did you know that if a container can retain water, a mosquito can lay eggs in it? A small amount of water can lead to big problems. Take a walk around your property and tip and toss any standing water. Be a buzzkill. Put a stop to mosquitoes.
Volusia County is a beautiful place to live, but if
we don't respect it, who will?
Litter is a problem, one that we can solve.
But it's going to take all of us working together.
What matters is that we all do our part.
Don't be a litter bug.
And pick up litter whenever you see it.
Every litter bit counts.
Make the most of your day at the beach. Download the Volusia County Beaches app today. Sign up for real-time notifications on vehicle ramp openings and closings. Find staffed lifeguard towers. Get updates on tides and beach conditions, plus off-beach parking and coastal parks info. Volusia County Beaches app is available for your smart devices at the App Store and Google Play.
You can access Volusia County government online at volusia.org. Listen to county council meetings, pay for permits or tags, or search the property appraisers' databases. Volusia.org is your Volusia County government information resource.
And we're back. I'm Gary Davidson along with Kevin Captain, and you're listening to Volusia Today, a public information program brought to you by the County of Volusia.
Thanks, Gary. We're talking with Lisa Lewis. She's the Supervisor of Elections. So, Lisa, the primary on the 23rd, one of the things that myself, my wife, friends and family, we love to go check out the results. We love to see, on the website, the real-time results. Tell us a little bit about the automation behind that, the accuracy, and when you think Tuesday's election on the 23rd, when you'll get the final results.
Well, the canvassing board meets to finalize the results, and depending on what the results are, and how close some of them may or may not be, but, if it does call for a recount, the state calls for multi-county and above races, and then the county canvassing board, if anything county level or below, we would call that recount. So that comes into play. But as far as Tuesday night, 7:01, as long as the polls are closed, the first results anyone will see will be vote by mail and early voting.
Because those
We
are being
release those,
tabulated now,
yes.
you just flip a switch on those.
Correct, yes. So once we release those, you see, big number, because that's probably the majority of the voters, but you'll see those numbers, and then as the polling locations start transmitting those results, they're added in, we update. So by Tuesday night, you pretty much know the numbers. We do have vote by mail. If someone has forgotten to sign their envelope or their signature is different, they have the opportunity to cure that with an affidavit, which we mail to the voter. Those voters have until 5 p.m. on the Thursday after the election.
Okay,
So there's still an opportunity for some numbers to be added to that. And
48
then, of
hours
course, provisionals.
post. Okay.
If anybody votes provisionally, we meet on the Thursday to act on those.
So obviously, you can't vote if you're not registered. The registration books, they're closed for the primary, but if you haven't already registered, there's still time to register to vote for the November 8th general election. And so what's the deadline, and where and how do you register?
Okay. You can register online if you have a Florida driver's license or a Florida state identification card, current, because we tie in with the DHS MV, motor vehicles, where you get your license. It brings a signature over. So you can do it online. You can do it with a paper copy at any one of our Volusia County public libraries. They're available. They're available at each city hall. Of course, call our office if you need to. Mail one. Come see us at our office and you can register to vote. But that deadline is October 11th. It's normally 29 days before an election, which would normally be the 10th. But that's Columbus Day. Even though we're open, it's still a federal holiday, so it falls to the next day.
Well, it couldn't be any easier or more convenient. There really is no reason not to register.
Yeah, and and I'd like to tell people that it is a voter's, a person's choice if they want to register, but then also to vote. That's their right to choose to vote or not. I hope everybody wants to, but if they don't, that's up to them.
Right, for sure. Well, I know that occasionally, Gary, you'll run into Lisa at Publix. Did you give her your ballot at Publix?
No, it doesn't work that way. You can do a lot of things at Publix, but you can't vote.
That's right.
Well, I hope you're able to enjoy some time off after this election, and I know it's going to be a busy couple of weeks here coming up for you and everybody in your office, including all the poll workers and volunteers and everything.
Absolutely. We could not do it without our poll workers or my staff. Is just wonderful.
Do you still need volunteers?
We always do. The primary, we're okay, but for the general, because we staff more people because the turnout is higher. So if you're looking to volunteer, it's a long day, but it is rewarding.
Wonderful. Lisa, thank you so much for being on the show today. With that, we'll wrap up Volusia Today. Take care, stay safe, and help your neighbors. Have a great today.
If you have a comment about Volusia Today, or if there is a topic you would like to hear featured, please contact Volusia County Community Information at 1-866-345-0345.